Hello and welcome to Psychic Sunday. I hope you're having a lovely day. Today we are talking about the 5 types of empaths and how to know if you're one of them. So what is an empath? An empath is an intuitive style where you receive intuitive and psychic information through emotions and physical sensations that mirror the people or animals that you are connecting with. So basically, the key to recognize that you're an empath is that you're going to feel other people's, animals, or the planet's stuff as though it's your own. And for empaths, it's very hard to distinguish between your own physical ailments or emotions and other people's. And we'll go into this in a little bit more depth in a minute. And it's also not the same as compassion. This is a very important distinction. So whenever you're feeling compassionate, you feel a sense of sorrow for what someone's going through. You feel compassion for them, and you just generally feel for them. However, whenever you are an empath, you feel their feelings just as strongly as your own. So if you know of someone, we'll go with Sally. Sally is having a really rough day. She's feeling stressed and she's feeling anxious. If you feel compassionate towards Sally, you feel sorrow or sadness or just a general feeling that you hope things get better for her. You feel compassionately towards her. If you are an empath, then you're going to experience all of her stress, all of her bad stuff that she's experiencing on an emotional level as your own. It will be just as strong as your own emotions, and it'll be difficult to tell the difference. Okay, so a quick warning. This is not an all-inclusive list. This is only 5 of the empath types, and there are as many intuitive types out there as there are people on the planet. And the reason is because we all have our own intuitive language. The way that information comes to each individual is different because they have a different body, they have a different association with words and images and symbols. And that's just the way that the intuition works, which is one reason why it can be really hard to learn, but it's also super powerful once you do learn it. And also, you can have more than one empath type simultaneously. So if you're going through this and you notice that you resonate with more than one empath type, you can be both. It's not uncommon for people to have multiples here. That's perfectly acceptable and perfectly normal. All right, so by the end of this little slideshow here, you will know the 5 types of empaths. The first one is the emotional empath. And this is someone who experiences emotions of other people as their own. You will know what a physical empath is, which is basically just someone who experiences other people's physical stuff as their own. You will know the animal empath, which is someone who empaths or emotes with animals, so they connect to the animal's energy in that way. You'll know the global empath, which is someone who connects with the world as a whole and connects with every person's energy on the planet and picks up the energies and emotions that are happening worldwide, so the worldwide trend. And finally, the earth empath, and this person is going to connect with the earth's energy directly and empath the information that the earth is sending out. First, we have the emotional empath. If you are an emotional empath, you're going to pick up the emotions of others. So Black Friday at the mall is going to be a nightmare because of all the emotions that you are bombarded with. So if you're going to the mall, you're going to feel the excitement, the stress, the dread, all of the emotions that come from shopping, you're going to get from everyone around you. This is different than just, really enjoying shopping, because I promise you, if you are an emotional empath, then Black Friday is not a fun experience. You feel like a crazy person and you generally feel very overwhelmed. And also with an emotional empath, it's very difficult to tell the difference between your emotion and someone else's. So if you're around someone who is upset, you will experience the same emotions of upset that the other person is. If you're around someone that's angry, you will feel angry, and you usually won't know why you're feeling angry. It'll just kind of pop up. Next, we have the physical empath. Whenever you are a physical empath, you pick up on the physical ailments of other people. In my opinion, this is the least fun type of empath, just because no one really enjoys this. No one who I know who has this thinks it's fun to experience other people's pain and suffering. So just beware. If you have this, there are some specific things that you need to do to really get grounded and not experience other people's pain all the time. That's for another episode, but just know that there are things you can do. So if you're a physical empath, the hospital is going to be a nightmare for you, because you'll tune into the physical symptoms of other people. So if you go into the hospital and someone has a broken wrist, your wrist might start hurting. Or if you walk by someone who has a migraine, your head will start hurting. Oftentimes, a physical empath who is in a space where there's just a lot of physical ailments will tend to get overwhelmed. They'll start to feel stressed. They'll get a headache. They may get nauseous. That's normal, unfortunately. And it's best to really have clear energy, or simply not go into those environments if you find yourself as a physical empath. It's also often difficult to tell your physical ailments from other people's. So if you are in a room of people and you have a headache, it's going to be difficult for you to recognize whether it's your headache or whether you're just mirroring someone else's headache. So if you're in a room, someone has a headache, you get to share it. And in general, whenever you pick up other people's stuff, it will dissipate once you leave the scene. So if you pick up someone's headache, once you leave the room and the physical location, generally the headache will go away as well. This isn't always the case. Sometimes some people will continue to experience that later. Some people have a connection to certain people. And so if, for instance, your close friend has a headache, then you'll experience their headache just because you're really emotionally close to them. That's a little less common, but it is common. It's not completely uncommon. It's just not as common. And hopefully that doesn't happen to you. Next, we have the animal empath. And the animal empath picks up the emotions of the animals that they are around. So if you are around a happy animal, you will feel emotionally happy. It's sometimes specific to the animal type. So some people really tune into dogs, some tune into cats, some tune into a different animal altogether. It's not always specific. Some people just, if it's an animal, they connect very easily. It's not a problem. But just know that you may be a dog empath or a cat empath, and that would be normal. Zoos or other places where animals are in captivity can be very difficult. You'll feel emotionally stressed or suffocated or trapped, or all three, if the animals are experiencing the same emotions. So if you're in a place where the animals don't feel good, especially shelters, because there's a lot of anxiety there for the animals, and you're an animal empath, you get to mirror that. And once again, it's going to feel like your emotions. And until you are out of the situation, it's going to be difficult to tell whether it's your emotions or someone or something else's. The only way to really tell is to tap in and focus on you, and then focus on the animals. If the emotion increases when you focus on yourself, that's your emotion. If the emotion increases when you focus on the animals, that is the animal's emotion. Next, we have the global empath. And the global empath is going to pick up the feelings of humans on the planet as a whole. So the dominant emotion or feeling of the people on the planet. So global catastrophes such as hurricanes, earthquakes, terrorist attacks can leave you feeling anxious, alone, and stressed. You will mirror the emotions of the other people on the planet. And this goes for, especially if you don't watch the news and don't keep track of it, you would still feel that stress. So this one is a little tricky to tell, just because a lot of people experience this anyway. So if you're experiencing stress because there's a global catastrophe, because you are experiencing stress, then it's going to mirror what's going on with the rest of the world, but you aren't necessarily a global empath. You're just someone who's experiencing stress. That's fine. That's completely normal. However, a global empath is not emotionally invested in these things and is truly tapping in to the rest of the world. And again, how you tell is you focus on the event that you believe is causing the emotions, and you see how you feel. You focus on your feelings. And then you focus on just the world as a whole, and you notice what happens with the feelings. If your feelings of stress increase when you're focusing on the world as a whole, that's letting you know that it is from the world. If instead it's increasing whenever you're focusing on your emotions, that's letting you know it is purely your emotion. And last but not least, we have the earth empath. If you are an earth empath, you pick up feelings and sensations that relate to the earth's energy. So if a major earthquake is coming, you'll generally feel physical symptoms beforehand. So a couple days before the earthquake, you're going to get physical symptoms of some sort. And this can be a wide range of things. First of all, this generally happens about 24 hours in advance for most people. It can be much longer if you're extra sensitive, and it can be a little bit less long if you're not as sensitive. The timing just really depends on the person. And some of the symptoms that this will include are muscle spasms, fleeting lower back pain, headaches that don't quite feel normal, waves of nausea, anxiety and stress that passes after the event takes place. So you'll feel the stress, then something will happen. We'll use an earthquake as our example here. And then after that happens, you feel relaxed again, which is the exact opposite of what the rest of the world is doing. The rest of the world is experiencing relaxation before, then the event happens, and then they experience stress. So it's backwards. And so that's how you can tell that you're an earth empath. You tend to have the opposite emotional reaction as the people around you. You feel stressed before the event and relaxed after. And that wraps up our Psychic Sunday for today. Thank you so much for watching. For more tips about psychic development, go ahead and head to Erin-Ashley-coaching.com and sign up for the newsletter. Once a week, you will get an email in your inbox that has a link to a video or an article about psychic development, and then you'll also be the first to hear about any specials that are going on. Thank you and have a great day.